I am Jessica from Afro-Vegan Society, and I am so excited to be back for the second day to share another climate-friendly vegan recipe. This is actually a set of recipes, but I'm going to be showing you how to use plant-based ingredients that are much more sustainable to create some delicious takeout dishes or things you typically get from the carryout. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make a vegan Philly cheesesteak. I'm going to be showing you how to make a bacon cheeseburger, and I'm also going to be showing you how to make a really, really good Greek gyro. I love gyros. And so, yeah, these are all super delicious, super simple, really flavorful. And I have an assortment here of plant-based ingredients that I'm going to be using to replace animal products in these recipes, because animal products cause a lot of harm to the environment. The way that they're produced, the volume at which they're produced is very, very, very taxing on our environment. Not only does it cause pollution, it also causes lots of methane gas, which goes up to the atmosphere. And we all know that climate issues are on the tip of everybody's tongue right now, because it's really critical that we make some changes in order to be able to sustain our home, the planet Earth. So I want to encourage you to try some of these recipes, give these plant-based alternatives to animal products to try. And let's go through what they are actually before we hop into the recipe. So one of the first things we'll be using is a very popular condiment, mayonnaise. So mayonnaise is typically made with eggs, but this plant-based mayonnaise has no eggs. So it's 100% cholesterol free, just like every other ingredient in this cooking demo I'm going to be using today. And I was able to just find this at a regular grocery store. This is from Hellmann's. So a lot of brands are creating vegan alternatives or plant-based alternatives to animal products. So when you see them in the store, you should definitely pick them up, because you let the companies know when you vote with your dollars to pick a plant-based alternative to an animal product, that that's what you prefer to see in the stores, in your home, and it just makes everything better. Now, the next thing I'm going to be using is something that I was really excited to see when I went to Trader Joe's last, and this is a vegan tzatziki sauce. I think I said that right. And so this is a delicious sauce that's typically used with like falafel or gyros, which we're going to be making. And this is made with cucumbers, lemon juice, dill, and garlic, and it has a vegan cream cheese base. So if you're not having a Trader Joe's in your area, you can totally whip this up yourself and just use a classic tzatziki sauce recipe, but swap it out for some vegan plain unsweetened Greek yogurt or some vegan cream cheese. All right. The next thing that I feel like lots of people are hesitant to give up when they're making the switch to going vegan is cheese. So we're going to be using 2 cheeses today. I have some mozzarella shreds. So I'm going to be using these in the cheesesteak. When you have cheesesteaks from Philly, there's a couple different cheeses that are common depending on which shop you're at. Some of them use Cheese Whiz, which is like orange, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's not my favorite. But I actually used to live in Philly off and off during high school with my dad. And when I would eat cheesesteaks in Philly's, I always wanted the provolone. So I didn't see provolone, but mozzarella is a great swap for your plant-based cheesesteak. Next up, I have my vegan cheddar slices. So these are going to be used on the bacon cheeseburger. And these Trader Joe's vegan cheeses are cashew-based. And they're honestly some of my favorite vegan cheeses. But like I said, if you don't have Trader Joe's, another brand that I like is Violife. Follow Your Heart is always excellent as well. And they're available at a lot more different mainstream supermarkets and grocery stores. So give those a try. And then the next product I am super excited about. Actually, I'm going to come up a little closer so you can see. This next product is the Everything Legendary plant-based ground. So this is a plant-based alternative to ground beef, which I'm going to be using to make our burgers. And this is made from hemp seeds and pea protein. And it's really awesome because this brand was recently featured on Shark Tank, and they are a Black-owned vegan brand that's based in the DC area. So you can order their products online right now. I think they're working on getting in stores, but they're a brand new brand, and this product is awesome. I definitely tested my recipes and very much enjoyed what I tasted. So this is the Everything Legendary ground, but they also sell burgers in 12 packs as well. And the final ingredient, which is in the title of this video, is tempeh. So tempeh is going to provide the base for our shredded beef for our cheesesteak. It's going to be our lamb replacement in our gyros. It's going to be our bacon replacement in our vegan bacon cheeseburger. And tempeh is super versatile. It's basically made from fermented soybeans, and sometimes it has a grain in it. So this one has soybeans, rice, and barley. And I really, really like cooking with tempeh. The first time I ever cooked with it, honestly, when I saw it in the store, I was a little bit hesitant because you can kind of see like the the soybeans and stuff in the form of it. But the first thing I've actually ever made with tempeh was vegan gyros, and that was like 5 years ago. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is something I did not think I was going to be able to eat once I went vegan, and here I am using tempeh. So tempeh is awesome, super versatile. But I want to show you how I prepare it because it takes a little bit of, finessing to get the flavors to permeate into the core of the tempeh. So with that said, I'm going to pack up all these products and move them out the way so we can start prepping these recipes. All right, so first things first is tempeh prep. So I have 1 block of tempeh to make all 3 of these recipes. Now you could just use 1 block for each of these recipes and obviously scale up everything you're doing. But you could also have a variety night if you're feeling creative or don't know what to pick, or maybe people in your house want different things. You can get all 3 recipes out of 1 block. So that is what we're doing right now. We're just going to go ahead and open this up. And the full recipes, obviously the measurements that I'm going to be using when I make this today are going to be thirds. Because I'm using 1 tempeh block for 3 recipes, but the full amounts using 1 full block of tempeh for each recipe will be published to the website tomorrow. So we've got our tempeh, and as you can see, it has this, I don't know if you can have the texture, but let me know in the comments, have you ever cooked with tempeh before? Do you like it? Do you love it? Are you looking for some new inspiration? Let me know. If you are, obviously you've come to the right place. So I'm going to first start off by cutting this into 3 even sections. They're almost squares. The first thing that I'm going to cut up is, let's do the bacon first, because that's going to be really basic. I'm just going to cut this into thin strips. You don't want to cut it too thin because it will crumble and fall apart. So I'm maybe doing about like 1/4 inch strips here. It's not that particular. You don't have to like overthink this too much. So the first block is done, and we've got our vegan bacon going. All right, next up, I'm going to take the second square of tempeh and I'm going to cut it for our gyro meat. So what I'm going to do is cut it in half lengthwise, and then I'm just going to kind of cut it thinly like this, because when you get your vegan gyro, it's kind of like shaved off of like a spigot. And so I kind of want to mimic that shaved effect a little bit and get some wider pieces here. You could just cut everything in simple strips, but I just want to have a little variety. So how you cut things helps. And if some of the pieces break, that does not matter. That is totally okay. All right, so we've got our strips here, our wide flat strips here. And then for the cheesesteak is usually very like thinly shaved. So I'm just going to kind of like run my knife along the plane of the tempeh in kind of like a horizontal diagonal fashion to just really get that shaved one, because it's pretty much chopped. It's like pretty fine pieces because all those onions and peppers and cheese are pretty well mixed together when you cook those on the griddle. So we've got our 3 cuts of tempeh for our different recipes here. Just that simple. We want to have all the sauces and seasonings that we're going to be putting in here, flavoring everything completely evenly. So now I'm going to pull out my bowl and we're going to start seasoning these up. So the first thing that we're going to make is our gyro seasoning, because I need to dissolve a vegan bouillon cube. So the spices for this vegan gyro seasoning are so simple. I'm using a vegan beef bouillon cube, And I'm also using some Mediterranean or Middle Eastern 7-spice. So I got this 7-spice blend from a halal market in my area. I've also seen it at Indian markets, but I've also seen similar products if you go like to the international foods aisle of a regular supermarket. So it's something you'll be able to find, but if you can't find it, the 7 spices in this blend are allspice, black pepper, coriander, cloves, cumin, nutmeg, and it says and other spices. So I guess they're holding back some of the secret ingredients, but it's really delicious. And I think it really gives it that authentic Euro flavor. So we're going to take our vegan bouillon cube and we have to dissolve it. So just before we started this cooking demo, I actually went ahead and I boiled some water. So I have hot water in a tea kettle. So I'm taking 1 bouillon cube. I mean, for this amount, you could probably just use a half, but I'm going to keep it simple right now. And then I'm also going to take 1 tablespoon of this Mediterranean 7-spice. So this is intensely flavored, intensely spiced. You know, they usually roast that gyro meat that they use for a long time. I'm actually going to do closer to a half tablespoon because I don't want it to overtake everything. But yeah, they roast it for a really long time. So we're trying to infuse this flavor really quickly for this cooking demo. So now I'm going to take about 1/4 cup of this hot water that has just been boiled and pour it on over our vegan bouillon cube. And then I'm just going to take my whisk here and break it up. And we just want to dissolve this in here. Whisk everything together. Okay. And it smells so good. Those aromatic spices are really coming through and they're going to impart so much flavor into this delicious Tempeh gyro, Greek gyro, or rather Greek inspired. Okay. All right. So that's nice and dissolved. So now I'm going to take our shaved pieces and put it into this liquid. Now, I would say for best results, you could let this soak for 30 minutes, an hour. You could probably even soak this overnight in the fridge, but I'm going to let this probably soak for about, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, because I'm going to get the first recipe going. But I wanted to do this one first because I really want these flavors to infuse into this tempeh. It's going to create some delicious flavors and we're going to love it. So got that going. Let's sit this here. The next one we should do is the bacon. So bacon blend, so easy. I've seen lots of blends and they involve a variety of spices, but I decided to keep it super duper simple with this. I'm just using a teaspoon of garlic powder and onion powder blended. So if you have them separate, you could use a half teaspoon of each. All right. We've got our garlic and onion powder. I'm going in with a teaspoon of smoked paprika. I often see recipes use both smoked paprika and liquid smoke. Use whatever you have. I don't think you necessarily need to use both. Just use more than one if you only have one. Next, we're going to use about a tablespoon of soy sauce. You could also use liquid aminos, coconut aminos. I mean, this is tempeh, so it is a soy-based recipe. So, you know, you're not going to really be able to eliminate the soy from this particular recipe. But if you want to be gluten-free, you could use tamari sauce. And then I'm going to add about a half teaspoon of coconut sugar. So oftentimes, you know, I see people using maple syrup, which is nice because it has a very deep and rich flavor. Coconut sugar also has it. It has a really nice depth of flavor going on with it. But I didn't have maple syrup, so I'm using coconut sugar. You could totally use agave nectar as well. So once again, we're just going to whisk all this together. And this has a really great, intense, smoky flavor. And the soy sauce is also giving it that nice umami. So we're getting all the bacon vibes. So let me heat up my griddle now while we're talking, because once we start cooking, I want this to go quick. So we got our bacon mix blended together. And now we're going to put our tempeh strips in here. This is a little harder to mix, but basically toss it. I mean, it doesn't need to be perfect because ultimately we're using these bacon strips to stack onto a cheeseburger. So if they break a little bit, it's fine. We just want everything to be able to fit on a bun. So we got this bacon seasoning going. Okay, love it. All right, so now we have our tempeh bacon in the seasoning blend marinating. Set that right here. Finally, this one is super simple. For the cheesesteak, all I'm going to do is hit this with some soy sauce and hot water. The hot water is good because it basically softens it a bit, and it's going to help everything to penetrate and be more tender and a little bit less crumbly once we start cooking it. So I'm going to hit it with about a half tablespoon of soy sauce and about 1 to 2 tablespoons of hot water. And it's just that simple because, I mean, you've seen cheesesteak made. It's just shaved beef. Like there's not really a lot going on with the flavor because it has, you know, all that delicious onions and peppers and cheese going on with it. So it's not really that complicated. So we're going to let this sit while we get our space cleared up and start on the process of getting things on the griddle. So let me move this cutting board out the way. All right, we're going to put our griddle nice front and center. Check my phone really quick. Okay. So now to cook, we are going to be cooking with avocado oil. Avocado oil and grapeseed oil are my preferred oils to use when I'm doing something over high heat, like sauteing, just because they have a high smoke point. So I'm working with the avocado oil today, and I'm just going to add about a tablespoon to the griddle here. Okay. And now it is time to hit it with our onions. So those softened, caramelized onions and peppers are really what make a cheesesteak sing to me. So getting these on our griddle here. And this is just about, you know, half of a medium onion, thinly sliced. And then we've also got half of a large green bell pepper slice. So got our peppers and onions going, and you can smell them as soon as they hit the griddle, which is perfect. Okay. We're just gonna break these onions up. And let me know if you can hear the sizzle in the comments. It smells amazing already. And when you're making cheesesteak at home too, you know, if you want it to be even that much more or even that much less processed, you could make your own vegan cheese, blend together, you know, some steamed potatoes, some nutritional yeast, maybe a little bit of vegan yogurt or lemon juice or apple cider vinegar, a little garlic and onion powder, and make a cheese sauce that would be delicious on this as well. All right, and then we're just going to get our tempeh on here as well. And basically all I really want to do is allow everything to get tender and get a nice sear on it. So that is what we are going for here. So spread these out so they can all get some space on the griddle. And I find with tempeh, it's kind of a balance between allowing it to dry out and caramelize and then keeping it moist. Because when you infuse the moisture in as it's cooking, that's what kind of gives it tender, makes it a little bit more chewy, a little bit more meaty in texture. But of course, the caramelization and the sear on it is what's essential for making it, just have a little bit of a crunch. So you get all those great contrasts of textures. And of course, the caramelization also adds a bit of sweetness. It brings out the depth in the savory flavors as well. So you got to get that balance as you go. So I'm noticing that my tempeh is starting to stick a little bit to my pan. Now, obviously, if I use more oil, but I don't necessarily want to load it down with too much oil. So we're going to use the leftover seasoning that we had going on here. And now what I'm going to do is kind of move this over to one side. And you don't need a griddle pan like this, so you can totally just do this in a pan on your stove as well. Okay. So we're going to let that continue to cook. And then I have here a baguette. And so I'm just going to put that open face down on here. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit more oil down because I don't want that to stick to the pan. We're going to toast up our bread. So I prefer to use Italian bread when I do stuff like this. You could also use hoagie buns or anything like that. But I like Italian bread because it's softer. The French bread is a little too tough on the outside for me when I'm trying to bite down into a sandwich. So we're going with our baguette here, our vegan baguette. And our sear is looking excellent on this cheesesteak, peppers, and onions blend with the tempeh. So now what I'm going to do is hit this with the cheese. So I'm just going to sprinkle on, I don't know, maybe about 3 to 4 tablespoons, so like close to a quarter cup of this vegan mozzarella over the top. Because it is called a cheesesteak for a reason, you know, so we don't want to hold back. Now is not the time to be stingy. Okay, so next I'm going to make sure I get the cheese onto. I don't want it to burn. So, like I mentioned in my cooking demo yesterday, vegan cheese needs steam to melt. So I just put this little melting lid on top, and we're going to let that melt down. And we are just a few moments away from an absolutely delicious vegan cheesesteak sandwich made with tempeh. And what time is it? It's 5:25. So this took us about 15 minutes to put together. Super duper simple. All right, I think our bread is done. I'll flip it over, get a little toasty on both sides. There we go. There we go. All right, we've got our nice toasted buns, nice and crisp on the inside. And I like my bun to be crisp on the inside, soft on the outside. So we won't let this sit as long. Check on this. All right, and our cheese is nice and soft now. All right, so it's time to serve up these vegan cheesesteak sandwiches. So I'm just going to load each one up with a good mixture of peppers, onions, tempeh, and that melty vegan cheese. Just like that. We've got our vegan cheesesteaks up. I'm going to clean down this griddle. Got our griddle cleaned up well enough that we can start on our next recipe here. Make sure the hell, okay. All right, so next is the vegan gyros. The vegan gyros are even simpler than the vegan cheesesteak because literally all you're doing is searing this meat on the griddle. So I'm just going to add this on. And the smells are amazing. That combination of that vegan beef bouillon cubes, and that Mediterranean Middle Eastern 7-spice blend is just so good. It's like savory, but it has like a hint of sweetness from the spices, not a sugary sweetness, but just like the allspice and the cardamom. They have notes of sweetness to them. So they're so lovely. So I'm going to get these going, pour the excess juice on top, and let this griddle come back up to heat. I'm going to talk to you about the other layers of this gyro. I'm actually going to start assembling this while this gets heated up. So I have here a piece of naan. So naan bread is honestly my favorite bread to use for things like this because at least the store-bought naan is a lot softer than pita bread. Pita bread at the grocery store can be kind of tough. And when you get gyros at a restaurant, like a Greek restaurant, the bread is super soft and pillowy. So I opt for naan. Always check the ingredients. Sometimes there are pesky ingredients like milk powder or honey in them. So just double check to make sure that it's 100% vegan when you get it. But this naan is delicious. So the next thing that I am going to add on, which is classic, is obviously the tzatziki sauce. So have my knife here. This is also something that I have not had in 6 years since I've gone vegan. And so I was so excited to see that they had this product in the store. And then once I tasted it, I was like, oh, this is so easy to create with vegan products too. So that was super exciting as well. So always be exploring what new offerings there are, because there are ways that you can enjoy some of your favorite foods from, when you were eating any and everything, but now you can enjoy them plant-based and sustainable, climate-friendly, and healthier. No cholesterol, you know what I'm saying, in any of these. Plant-based versions of foods are typically lower in fat, just naturally, lower in saturated fat, all these things that are associated with being better for our health. So with that said, I am doing a generous portion of this tzatziki sauce. I want it to be all the way across the base of our naan bread here for this gyro. Okay. So next up, I am going to top it off with some delicious romaine lettuce. Okay. And then I'm going to hit it with a few slices of tomato, just thinly sliced tomato. So we're getting our colors in, we're getting our fresh plants in, as well as our plant-based products. So we're still eating balanced whenever we can. And then I'm also going to add some very thinly sliced red onions to this. Not too many. Red onions have a bit of a more pungent flavor, so we don't want to overdo it. But here we go. Got our red onions. And so now we have our gyro awaiting. Our tempeh has been seasoned beautifully just to get finished cooking up. So we've got this going. And then next up, we can get started on this vegan bacon. So I am going to add a bit more oil to the pan because, crispy bacon, no matter if it's made from plants or not, it's going to be oily. So we're going to add our oil to this pan. So now we're just going to go ahead and add our vegan bacon strips in to the griddle. Okay. Alrighty. And then we can form our burger. So I'm going to grab my everything legendary burger here. And we have our bun. So put that on the plate. And I'm going to use about 1/4 of this package. So this is a 12-ounce package. So I'm going to be making let's call it a 3-ounce burger. So you can get 3 to 4 very generous burgers from this. I will also say the thing about cooking with plant-based meat alternatives is that when you're grilling them or cooking them up or whatever, they shrink a lot less on the griddle. So the burger you start off with is going to be pretty much the burger you end up with. I remember, like, you know, going to cookouts and you put burgers on the grill before, and you know, it would shrink to like 2/3 of the size. Like it would shrink significantly. And these plant-based burgers don't do that because they, you know, they have more body. They're not as fatty, so there's just not as much cooking off. So I'm rounding this into a circle, and then I'm going to flatten it to about a 1/4 inch thick. I don't like a super thick burger, and I like the burgers to cook up pretty quickly as well. So that's another great thing about eating plant-based and choosing plant-based alternatives, especially when you're cooking things like this. They cook up on the griddle so much faster. So got that in a nice sweet spot on the pan. I'm gonna wipe my hands off again. So we got our bacon going, we got our burger going, we got our vegan gyro meat going. It's starting to get a good sear here. It's smelling amazing in here. Okay. Yes, getting beautiful caramelization. Those flavors are really sinking into the crevices of the tempeh, really penetrating the center of it all. So that's looking excellent. And I don't think I put any extra oil down on the pan when I started with the vegan gyro meat. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit more oil over here. Okay. We got it going strong. Okay. Took a little bit longer. Probably got 1 more minute or so on this vegan gyro meat, and then I'm going to put it on this beautifully layered naan with the lettuce, tomato, and red onions. And then I think the bacon is ready for a flip. This tempeh bacon is looking beautiful. Yes, and it's caramelizing very nicely. Okay. Beautiful. Looking fantastic. Okay. And now, just like that, the burger is also ready to flip. So, shimmy that up. And there we go. That's ready. So now that the burger is flipped, I'm going to take a slice of our vegan cheddar and put that on top. All right, here we go. Perfect. And then I am going to go ahead and serve up our vegan gyro. I'm going to take this tempeh and put it on our very delicious naan with all the toppings and the delicious dairy-free tzatziki dressing. Okay. I wonder, does anybody know where you can get vegan gyros at a restaurant? Anywhere you live. Let me know if they sell vegan gyros in your area. All right, and now for the bacon cheeseburger, I'm going to start picking up these vegan bacon slices and putting them right on top of the burger. Turn this heat down a little bit more. And we're going to just go ahead and load it on up. We're not playing with our vegan bacon on this vegan bacon cheeseburger. Okay? So clean up our griddle a bit because I want to make some space to toast our hamburger bun. Okay? So we're also going to take our steaming lid, put a little bit of water on the griddle just to help that vegan cheese melt. And we're going to put our buns right on here. And we are at the home stretch, just like that. So to top our burger, I'm going to keep it very, very simple. I'm just going to use some vegan mayo. You can use ketchup, mustard, barbecue sauce is also super duper good. But we're going to keep it simple with our vegan mayo today. So I just want these buns to heat up just a bit. Maybe move them around a little bit. Turn the heat back up. Get the bun nice and toasty on the inside. And then when you do that, the heat rises and it also gets even softer on the outside. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Just get these buns nice and toasty on the inside. Give it a little bit longer. All right, nice and toasty. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my vegan mayo. I'm going to take my vegan mayo and spread it on either side of our bun here. Okay. And then I am going to put some lettuce on the bottom. And I'm going to put tomato on the top. So let's turn off our griddle now because something tells me this burger is ready, and it sure is. You know it's ready because the cheese is no longer sticking out straight on the sides. It's just kind of hanging down around the edges. So we got our vegan bacon cheeseburger. This is so much vegan bacon on this vegan cheeseburger, and it's going to taste great. So now I'm going to top it off with some nice slices of tomato and top it off with our bun. And that is how you make 3 vegan versions of carryout classics at home using tempeh with delicious climate-friendly options. So, of course, as always, I'm going to come up and show you a close-up of everything now that we're done. We have our vegan bacon cheeseburger here. I want you to see that vegan bacon up close. So smoky, so savory, so delicious, and that delicious melted vegan cheddar, and this delicious meaty plant-based burger from Everything Legendary Burgers. Alrighty. Next we have this amazing, this amazing vegan gyro made with tempeh. It has all those savory spices and flavors that you love with the gyro, plus juicy tomatoes, crunchy lettuce, some kick from the red onion, and it is so, so good. Certainly, last but not least, we have this delicious, juicy vegan cheesesteak. I mean, it has to be messy, or is it good? So we have those caramelized bell peppers and onions, and that melty mozzarella cheese, and then just that very simply seasoned tempeh and our toasted baguette. So there you have it. 3 delicious, climate-friendly alternatives to takeout. You can make these at home. It does not take long at all. You don't really need too many special ingredients, just some tempeh, some soy sauce, maybe a beef bouillon cube that's vegan, and some vegan cheeses, and then top it with whatever sauces that you like. I hope that you enjoyed this recipe and that you've been enjoying our Earth Day programming today. The recipe for this collection of carryout recipes will be coming out tomorrow. So be on the lookout in your emails. And thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, everybody.